In this video, we're going to take a look at how to create an eye-popping thumbnail using Photoshop. So I've just created a video. I'm about ready to upload it on YouTube, but I need a good, catchy thumbnail that's going to stand out. So what I like to do is, let me pull my face over here. We're going to open up Photoshop, and I like to download a photo that looks good, that goes with the theme of the video I just made. I pull it from Adobe stock. You can pull it from anywhere you like. Pulling up Photoshop, here are the settings that I found that look the best for creating a thumbnail for YouTube. You do 1280 pixels by 720, 300 resolution. You can see all the settings over here. And you can also name your photo if you want, or you can name it when you're about to save it. I usually name it at the end when I'm about to save it. All right, so here we go. We're going to create a new thumbnail, open a new canvas. And so that picture that I have downloaded from Adobe stock, I will drag it in and drop it into the canvas. All right, here we go. We're gonna drop that in. Once I drop it in, I usually like to have it cover the entire canvas, this main photo that I'm gonna use. And so I will select Shift on the keyboard and I will drag it over from the point just to cover the entire picture right there. And then I'll do the little check mark up here and say that's good to go. Next, I pull a photo of myself to drop on there. So I'm going to drop this silly photo of myself on top. Not the best, but here. And what I will do is I go up here to select, and I select the subject, so it's just of myself. You can see right here, it's like it's also going over the chair in the background. I actually want to remove that. So what I will do on the keyboard is I will select Option. Actually, I'll come up over here and I will right click over here on this object selection tool, and I will do right click on this right here and then do quick selection tool. And then what I do is I select Option on the keyboard, and then I can actually have it just remove those lines so it's only covering me. And then you can also, if you're not selecting Option on the keyboard, you can also, just to make sure it fills out the entire picture itself, I like to line it up as much as possible, as much as you can make it kind of match. It'll make it easier so you don't have to do as much coloring and fill in any gaps. All right, so right here, then I will come over here to this bottom right portion on Photoshop, and I will hit this right here, and that will remove that background, so it's just the picture that I have of myself. I know this is a silly picture, so this might be kind of hard to look at. See, these over here is your tools, and I select this. If you hover over any of them, you can see exactly what it's named. This is the eyedropper tool, and it's used as you can just select on any part of the screen you're wanting to select it from, but you can select what color you're wanting. If you select on a color, you can see that is the color I want to use, and I want to take that, and then I will come over here and select my brush tool. So I've got my color now. I push OK, and then I just kind of clean it so it doesn't look kind of silly. Remove those blemishes so it doesn't look, kind of makes you look a little bit better. I don't color everything, you don't want it to just look like a tool. Okay, all right. So I don't color everything, but a lot of times I found that if you actually just select on, say I want down here, I'm kind of pale down there, but I could still use this tool right here, the same color I have, but it's gonna make it look a little bit awkward, a little bit weird. But we can try it. We can go with the weird. And right click. Is that? I don't know if we want that, but it's a lot of trial and error. A lot of trial and error. Don't look as pasty. All right, but either way, you can always backspace. You can always undo, which is that. You can always undo, which is that Command Z. And what I would like to do is, I could try to change the color. Man, I am like pale or something. I'm a different color down there. A lot of it's lighting. It's that lighting factor. But so I'm gonna actually see if we can salvage this. So let me try this. We're gonna try a little bit different color for down here. That might be cool. A lot of times it's a lot of just trial and error, just seeing what doesn't look too bad, going with whatever, going with your gut. Going with you got. But I found it's just, if you don't have the greatest lighting on your photo, you can clean up a lot of things by Photoshop by just kind of going over, selecting the color of the photo itself, and then just kind of tweaking it a little bit so that it looks kind of pretty, as pretty as you can. You got to work with what you got. Work with what you got. But really, people, I mean, the thumbnail, all it is enough to be able to draw people to click through, that people actually want to see. You know, drives them enough intrigue. We need a little intrigue in our lives. There we go. It doesn't have to be perfect, but, and some people are not as perfectionist as others, you know. I struggle with, I want it to be perfect, but not everybody's like that. And it's probably better that you're not like that. So either way, you can make it kind of look however you want. I like to, you want to have those shades a little bit, you know, you want the contrast. Contrast is still a big thing. It's a big deal. I usually, whenever clicking out of that, it'll always put that there, but you just do that Control Z or Command Z, depending on if you're using a Mac or not. But this is just, you want that little contrast right there. I want it like not as, a lot of times it's just finagling with it. Now, if I went in here and colored all this, it might make it look even more kind of crazy. But it just has to be good enough. You know, you want to have your thumbnail popping. Look at that little rosy cheek son of a gun. Not that. Okay, let's try. We'll speed this up when I edit it, but let's just go with what we got. Oopsie. Like you don't want to have that, like, it's almost makeup. It's almost like makeup, you know? It's what Photoshop does, you know? It's just, it masks, but it also enhances. It can enhance. You never know. And just something. So down here, I like to see the colors, you know, but I can also brighten them up a little bit. So my jersey that I'm wearing down there, I will actually come down here and try to get maybe the brightest point of it. So like I'm doing up here, I am grabbing this eyedropper. That's the easiest ways that I found of getting the color that you want. And I want something that matches as much, but I don't want this darker portion of it. I want the lighter portion of it. So I will grab that. And what I will do is, and just anytime you want, so that's the size of the paintbrush that I'm using right now, but I can also just make it bigger. Right click and then just drag it to the size. You can change the hardness if you want as well. But I just kind of keep it simple. You know, you don't want to overcomplicate things. You know, just keep it simple. I want to still be able to see the number. I want people to notice that it's a jersey, but I want it to be something that is almost a little bit gentler on the eyes, So come over here, just you're continually like changing the size of it so it matches it. But I still want to keep that so it's like it matches, that it still looks like the jersey that I know it is, that you know it is, and that we want people to know that it is. I'm going to minimize that just a bit. Oopsie. You don't want to just make it completely cartoonish, but you want it. People like, if you've seen like Mr. Beast, his videos out there, like anything, like he has those the professional thumbnail creators, you know, that are out there. You see his videos and what he looks like. He almost does look like a cartoon. Because you want that cartoonish vibe, but you don't want to be a cartoon. You don't want to end up a cartoon. But you want to look like it's just like kind of almost like just, that's that pop action that happens once you get down to it. So still like this, and it can like it's still like, if you don't go over it completely, but it still allows that contrast to exist. It allows that contrast to exist, and you kind of just gotta like a painter. You're like a painter. You're just doing one layer upon another, and that's what a lot of these things over here, they're called layers, and you can add a layer on another, and it's a lot of just trial and error. It's really just trial and error, and the best way I've found to get better at creating thumbnails is just to do a lot of them. Try to do it quick, but because when you're trying to do it quick, I found that you almost like you get quicker at it. It sounds kind of weird, but you do. If you have to create a thumbnail in 30 seconds and you force yourself to, you'll get better, and you'll get better for the next time in creating one. All right, so I almost want that. All right, so let's try to do this again. Just to kind of clean that up. I want still that contrast between like my neck right there. I could come up here and add some extra layer up here, but I found that a lot of times just having that shadow, that shadow that if because say I do that up here, it just it takes it a little bit too far, and then it's just like it takes away from it, you know? Like you could do it, but I think overall it's just going to make it look kind of silly. Sillier than it needs to be. Sillier than it needs to be. But I could kind of fill this out a little bit longer, a little bit more. A lot of it's just testing over and over. Yeah. That's too much. A lot of times I'll just do a little bit at a time, and then because you can quickly pull it away if it doesn't vibe right. Yeah, it's not working up there. So right there, got a little something right there. The main point of this is, all right. So let's actually, I'm gonna grab a little bit brighter silver. So I got a little bit silver on the jersey right there. I want to get something that's a little bit brighter, but it's still that silver look for it. Let's see, try that. And for some reason, like just coloring it in, it kind of just, it brings it out a little bit, you know? It brings it out, you know? And then you still see that contrast, the different lighting and all that. And you can touch up so many different things. You can keep going over and over and touching it up, make sure it look pretty, you know? And all right, so I fill it in as much as possible there. A lot of times I like to kind of color out actually I'll do that. I like to color out so I don't see any like brand names. I don't really like to have those on the video itself. So I'll like kind of just blur it out a little bit, blur it out. And it gives a little, like, what's he got going on under there? You know, it kind of it brings a little excitement to it, you know. But you don't want to hide it too much. You want it just to be enough so people start questioning, you know. All right, so after I've got that on there, I will try to find some wording, some texting. I want it something to stand out, something to be concise, quick, to the point, but also leave a little like. Because, I mean, people got millions of videos to pick from. So what's going to stand out from my video that makes it a little bit more interesting, that they're like, I'm going to choose this one as opposed to that one, you know? And so I want to have something that goes with that. I'll say something. I might say something like editing videos in half the time. So half the time, something like that. So I click on there. I click that text. So now I'll just type whatever. Editing. It's kind of hard to see. Videos. It's kind of hard to see. I was trying to change that. All right, let's get that out there. Let's do. You can't see this over here. Let me pull this over here so you can see it. All right, let's try this. A lot of times that white color of that background, it looks pretty good. So to drag it, you just click a little bit outside until you see it like that grabber. Let's see, and then you can click out of this. Okay. Editing videos in half the time. Maybe that. It's a little bit too long. I don't like it that long, but editing. I'll say maybe edit videos. Edit videos in half the time. Because I don't like to use the same wording that I'm going to name the video and call it that. Like, I like to have it a little bit different. You don't want that. I mean, for me, I don't like that redundancy, just the same thing you're saying twice. Something that's going to stand out the most. I like it as big as possible without being obnoxious, you know? edit videos in half the time. And this is going to be a little bit different because I like to use drop shadow. And I'll show you what I mean by that. But so it's going to go over my head right there, over my head. Like I said, it's a battle between standing out and being obnoxious. Now what I like to do is, all right, so I will come over here to this layer with the wording, and I'm going to right click on it. I'm going to change blending options. You can do so many different things with blending options, whether it's the picture itself or any wording that you want to like kind of fix up. I like to come down here. This is like almost a default that I like to do. And usually it's with a white kind of clear or white background. This drop shadow makes it look really good. But on this kind of darker background, let's see how it looks with the dark shadow. We might have to change the coloring of the wording. Let's see. I don't think that's bad, but it does look a lot better if it has like kind of the lighter background. So down here, you can kind of see that lighter background. I like that though. I like that. So right there, just something a little catchy phrase. So this is what I like to do. And so there's a lot of ways you can do this just to clean up your skin and things look a little bit better. See right here, my lips, a little crackly. You know, you don't like people don't want to see that. People like to see things they want to look at, you know, like right there. I could, even though it might look like I'm putting on lipstick, I'm going to do it very lightly so it doesn't come off too weird. That was too weird. Too weird. Let's try to make this a little bit smaller just so it like subtle yet satisfying. That looks too weird. It's tough. You got to pick your battles. Okay. I tried. Sometimes it doesn't go the way you like. Sometimes it doesn't go the way you like. But I mean, it does look kind of like I got some makeup on. You don't want it, and I want to kind of blend it in a little bit. Maybe let's try to blend it in. Some people might appreciate it. Others, it might just make them mad. But either way, they might be interested enough to jump in to the video. All right, so edit videos in half the time. Here we go. All right, so we got that. Now I will show you the final touches that I usually like to add into my thumbnails, and I will come down here and let's create actually pick another color. And I usually like to. It doesn't really matter which color you put it on, but because I'm going to pick the lighter version of it, I usually pick that pretty up here, and this is just to add a little pop behind a photo of myself, just so it stands out a little bit more. So pick that, make this a little bit bigger, and then and I will click down here to this layer, so it's the background right there, and just to give a little more contrast, but also, and whenever you click that, you usually have to do that, and you have to click OK. But then I just do a little bit of background, just so it kind of just stands out, you know. Go ahead and use it. So you just do it on the picture that's behind there, and it'll just kind of give a little bit of just that contrast, you know. All right. So after you've got the thumbnail to look the way you want it to look, the next step is to export it. And the way we do that is we go up here to File, and we usually just export it. I usually just do it as a quick export PNG. You can export it in whatever format you want, a JPEG or however. But I usually do it just as an export, a PNG. So you do that, click that, name it what you want. I'll just name it this is kind of my naming format that I use, and save that. And then it goes there, and then I can just pull it from that folder and drop it into the video that I am creating in YouTube. There you have it. That is how you can create a thumbnail using Photoshop. I hope this video has been helpful for you. If it has, please make sure you leave a like and subscribe. And I hope you have a great day and happy creating.